My name is Fairuz and I belong to Kerala. I belong to Trivandrum district in Kerala, and I've been preparing for UPSC for quite some time. About my journey, my optional was English literature. Okay, I think I'm audible and visible now. Hello. So my optional was English literature. I had also given the exam with Malayalam literature as my optional in my previous attempt. This has been my second mains in my sixth attempt, and of course second interview. So my previous interview was in the very first attempt. So about my journey, again, this was my sixth attempt at the UPSC and my second interview. So I started my preparation right after graduation. I did schooling from Trivandrum. I did schooling till 12th, and after that I took English honors for my graduation. So my graduation subject was in English, and then after graduation I started off UPSC preparation. Okay, I started off UPSC preparation after graduation, and in the first attempt I could clear prelims and mains and went up till the interview stage. Then I missed prelims in the next couple of attempts, and then I cleared prelims in this attempt and cleared the whole exam. So that was my journey, if I would put it into words. So, and my optional was English literature. I started off preparation. I had joined a PCM course in an institute here. Okay, so I joined a PCM course in an institute here and followed their strategy for the PCM preparation. Or I'll give a brief strategy first. So with regards to prelims was, I think, the toughest stage for me because I missed a couple of prelims attempts, and it was not very easy stage for me compared to mains. Mains, comparatively, I had cleared both the mains that I had given. So that was fine for me. And regard to prelims, I would suggest that my basic strategy was, since I could not clear multiple prelims, my strategy this time was to focus on the basics, focus on polity, history, geography, environment, etc., and then cover the basics up, and then give the take PYQs, focus on the PYQs, and then give the exam. That was my whole strategy this time. So after prelims, coming on to mains, cover the basics, GS. I'll deal with all the specific questions that you have, but I think I'll briefly cover up my strategy first. Cover up all the GS that you have. Give extra focus on optional. I think my focus in optional in my first attempt was something that helped me clear mains in the very first attempt. So focus so much on optional. Then essay and ethics was also my strong area since I had a literature background or an English background. And again, coming to interview, I had a lot of peer mocks. I had a lot of mentorship sessions and one-on-ones, which kind of helped me in the first and in this attempt. So I think I'm getting questions. I am from Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala, from the southern district of Kerala, Thiruvananthapuram. So and a lot of people are asking me that it is their first attempt in UPSC, 45 days are left, what should be the approach to clear the exam? So in my opinion, prelims is something that requires your mental strength more than any aspect. I think in those years, okay, I'll start once more for all those who have joined now. The team has asked me to start once more. My name is Fairuz and I belong to Trivandrum district in Kerala. This has been my sixth attempt at the UPSC and second mains and second interview. My first interview was in my first attempt. After that, I kind of missed prelims in a couple of attempts. I had given 2 CKS attempts in which I missed prelims, and then another 2 attempts which I had not really prepared well, but I had nevertheless given the exam. So this was one dedicated attempt that I planned to give for the UPSC, and I managed to clear it this time. My optional was English literature this time, and I had 270 marks for English literature also. This was also my first attempt with the English optional. Before the time that I gave exam before, my optional was Malayalam literature. And regarding my preparation, I felt that prelims was the toughest of all stages for me because I could not clear multiple prelims in a row, and I understand the pain of aspirants who cannot really clear prelims. Like 2 or 3 prelims have been like people who miss 2 or 3 prelims. So I understand their concern. And my strategy, I think I would rather focus on the prelims preparation aspect, since you also have just 45 days left for the prelims. So in the first attempt, my strategy was kind of different from what I had followed now. In the first attempt, my strategy to clear prelims was follow the PCM classes properly, then focus on the basic test and cover up PYQs and take a lot of test series. I think I practiced around 100 questions in my first attempt, and that kind of helped. But in the subsequent attempts, I did not, I think I gave the same strategy, but I could not clear prelims. I was missing prelims by 2 or 3 marks from the cutoff. So this time my entire focus was on starting early. That was the first thing. Then the second one was to focus on the core subjects like polity, geography, environment and economic. These are the 4 core subjects that I had focused on in this attempt to clear prelims. I made sure that I had practiced multiple questions from these 4 subjects, that any question being asked, I made sure that I'm able to answer those questions. Because I remember in 2024 or 2023 prelims, I had missed a question on money bill. It was a very basic question. Everybody who has read Lakshmikant would know the chapter about money bill and how important it is presented. But what happens in the exam hall is you are tensed and you tend to forget or tend to get those, even the basic questions wrong. So my focus was on getting those questions correct, those basic questions correct. So I had specifically focused on these 4 subjects of polity, history, geography and polity, geography, environment and economy. I think this kind of helped me a lot in clearing prelims this time. And apart from that, geography was one subject I did not really have a very good foundation on, because I come from a humanities background and I found geography very technical. So for that, I made sure that this is some strategy that I think might not have done by everybody, but it kind of helped me. One thing that I made sure was I made a complete understanding, or I would say I knew the world map by heart. I knew which are countries in the world map. I took a printout of the world map, the outline map, and I made sure that I knew to mark the countries, whichever countries were present in the world map, like that. And that kind of helped me in understanding the location of many countries. And that also, like, not just countries, volcanoes, lakes, straits, everything that you have in physical geography, the location part is something that I had covered very well. Same thing with Indian geography also. So this had given me a very good base in geography, and that I think had helped me a lot in clearing prelims. Now I think I'll deal with the questions also. So I finished RC PYQs. Should I practice from mocks, coachings, or just revise PYQs? Reading comprehension, okay. Okay, reading comprehension, I would suggest that you practice the questions, the PYQs from 2020 onwards. Okay, and 2020 onwards, it's okay even if you know the answer, but just keep on practicing and try to derive why the UPSC has given such an answer to that question, because it is not something about knowledge. No, they're not testing your knowledge through reading comprehension. It is just about the logic and whatever works, and you cannot really study a reading comprehension, go there and apply it. So you can check for the patterns that are there. That is one option. Then if you take up institute questions, there are chances that not all institute questions will be alike, and not all coaching questions will have the same standard as that of UPSC. It will hardly have the same standard as that of UPSC. So what you can do is take it to practice within the time. You should make it a point to cover the reading comprehension question in ideally less than 40 minutes. Whichever coaching paper that you take, try to cover in less than 40 minutes. That is the strategy for reading comprehension. So prelim sources, they were the same through 6 attempts. It was not the same. In the first attempt, one factor that kept me going was that in the first attempt I had cleared prelims. So even when I missed prelims after that, I was sure that if I do something right, I can repeat what I had achieved in the first attempt. This was my major motivational factor. So the basic notes were the same, but one factor that I felt was that I had proper gaps in my basic sources. Like, I didn't know the basics of geography, polity or economy very well. So in the last attempt or in this attempt, my priority was to study everything properly. Maybe polity I knew, but economy and all, I felt that I lacked the basic conceptual clarity when it came to prelims. It might not have been the same for mains, but it might not have been, it need not be for everybody. I know people who does not clear prelims because they miss out on CSAT, but in my case I was missing out on the GS paper. And one point that I made sure was to revise or to ensure conceptual clarity in the basic subjects like economy, geography, etc. So that kind of helped, and I had invested more time in regarding that areas in the last attempt. So the sources changed. I did not depend on one coaching institute ka material for that matter, apart from the Indian geography text by Fortune IAS. Apart from that, I had diversified my sources. I had made sure that I attended to whatever was available in the market, but chose wisely. I stuck to the PYQs. I revised the PYQs. That was what happened. All right. CSAT strategy was to practice maximum question papers possible, not questions, but maximum question papers possible. I had also attended a crash course by Shuni IAS. I think it is available in Telegram channels. It is a set of 5 videos of 8 hours each. I think I had attended that. I had purchased that course in 2023, and I had watched that course in 2024 for 2024 prelims and for 2025 prelims. So that helped. I was not very strong with the math part. I did the number system part, and then the remainder theorem. All those parts I made sure that I knew the answers, and the logical reasoning. All those parts were something that I had invested on, but I really did not know how to do the answers for mensuration or questions like that. Even for trigonometry, I did not have really much idea on that. So I invested in number system, remainder theorem, all those areas which gave maximum output or maximum return, and I had also focused on reading comprehension, so that helped for CSAT. But the ultimate strategy should be to practice 2-hour mock papers every now and then, or at least every day nearing the prelims exam, because for CSAT you never know you're going to fail. You always think that the paper will be in your hands, but it is very important to train your brain in such a way that it is able to do a 2-hour paper without fail or without feeling tired in the exam hall. So I particularly made sure that I practice CSAT from 2:30 to 4:30 almost every day in the last 2 months or last 1.5 months before prelims, and that helped. And I made sure I made it a point to attend at least 40-45 questions in all the papers that I had attended. I had scored around 80 to 90, or that was my average scores in the coaching test that I had taken, not more than 100. And the actual exam also I had around 80 marks. So that was the CSAT. With regard to CSAT, that is what I had followed. I was not a pro in maths. I focused on reading comprehension and some amount of maths. Okay, very important question is every question paper pattern will be changed. How do we know which topic is must and which is not important? How do you face that thing? So I have felt that in every question paper there is a pattern change, there are fresh questions, but what remains unchanged is UPSC's idea with respect to, or their focus on the certain areas. So in every question paper there will be polity questions, in every question paper there will be geography questions dealing with the location, in every question paper there will be economic questions dealing with the basics. You should not be missing out on these questions. That is my entire point. In current affairs, for current affairs you cannot really do anything. So that you can you should cover the basic sources. You should make an idea about the schemes. For schemes, I think I particularly relied on this PDF by I think it was a Telegram channel that I found, Hope by Tushar Yadav or somebody. That was the PDF that I followed for schemes with respect to current affairs in mains. I mean in prelims. All right. Okay. Regarding I think I've covered enough with respect to the prelim strategy now. I have spoken both about GS, GS paper and CSAT paper. But regarding the main strategy, for essay paper, since my background is English and I had also been taking essay classes at an institute here in Kerala called Fortune IAS, I was kind of comfortable with essay. I enjoyed reading essays of other people, and essay was my comfort zone. So I wrote essays, and that kind of helped for the essay paper. And coming to GS1, GS2, GS3 and GS4, I did not really try to innovate a strategy on my own. My whole point was to follow the test series timetable, to attend the test series on time and cover the portions. I think only that much time is left there between prelims and mains to do the GS part. Since I had switched to English optional in my this attempt, I had started preparing with English optional in 2024 July. So I hardly had any time to invest and value add in the GS part. So my focus was to complete optional before prelims, at least 80% of optional before prelims, and then focus on the mains part and the interview part. I think I have mentioned about the prelim strategy more than once. I am speaking about the main strategy now. With regard to essay, I told that I have been focusing on the different philosophical codes that UPSC give. I had completely based my preparation on the UPSC PYQs, and I was able to identify patterns with respect to the PYQs that UPSC have with respect to the essay paper. Because if you take the PYQs of the past couple of years, you will understand, especially after 2021, you will understand that they are specifically focusing on certain topics like say opportunities or positivity, ambiguity. So these are the broader keywords that they are focusing on with respect to the essay topics. So my strategy was to build upon that and practice writing essays according to the topic, or find similar codes according to the topic. And I think my general English literature background had also helped quite a bit with the essay paper. Okay, coming to GS1, GS2, GS3 and GS4, I felt that I had not had much time to innovate, and I was hence focusing on the test series or the timetable provided by Fortune IAS for the test series, MTS. And I was religious with respect to the MTS. I used to complete all the papers, at least towards the end. I think when I started off, I completed around 18 or 17 questions, and then gradually increased it up to 20 questions towards the end in the last full test. This was my brief strategy for the mains part, GS mains part. And for optional, my priority was to finish the syllabus. I do not know if anybody who has opted English literature is here. So my priority was to complete the optional before prelims in the first time, and practice essay and answer writing part between the prelims and the mains. Yeah, this was my strategy for optional. I had particularly focused on the paper on poetry part with respect to English optional because I found poetry easier than the prose part. So that was done with mains. Mains I did not find it really tough compared to prelims, because prelims was one paper that I found really hard cracking over and over. Mains comparatively was easier for me because it involved a lot of writing. I mean, when I did it, it was not that easy. I definitely had my share of whining, had my share of anxiety, and all through that, my answers weren't turning out perfect. My optional paper gave me shocks because I could not reproduce the answers when I tried to in the prelims mains. Yeah, I would study something on day 1, I would forget that on day 3. This was how the cycle went on. So it required a lot of patience and a lot of self trust, I would say. Which would have helped. I was not perfect in those aspects. Okay. Then with regard to interview, I think my interview was towards the end, and my strategy was to cover up current affairs on one side, do peer mocks on the other side, and I also did attend a lot of not a lot, but some panel mock interviews. So all 3 strategies combined had helped. I had also specifically focused on English literature part, but I was not asked much questions from that area. I also had a peer group with people who had cleared with English literature optional. So all 3 of us would sit there and discuss questions every day. Peer mock is the single greatest part that helped with respect to interview, the speaking practice, etc. So this is my brief strategy. I think I would go on answering the questions now. Please, if the questions aren't answered yet, please do type it again in the chat box so that we'll address it one by one. Okay, my revision strategy for prelims and what I learned from my past mistakes. My revision strategy for prelims was to revise the basics thoroughly. To revise the basics, I would say that I had made short notes from all the questions that I got wrong in the test series. Like I did not, when I took a test series, if I made a question wrong, I think I would mark it in that particular paper. If I took all the test series in the offline mode this time, I used to take printouts of question papers, and I used to mark the wrong questions there. I used to highlight the wrong questions there, and I would revise them. Especially this specifically helped for current affairs, because current affairs I really did not read magazines religiously during my preparation. I did not read monthly magazines or weekly magazines when it came to current affairs. My priority was to focus on current affairs specific test series. Many institutes have that current affairs test series 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 test series along with their PTS. So I would do that. I would also fish out topics like international relations test series, agriculture test series, budget test series, etc. All these are current affairs based, and I would keep on revising them multiple times so that I knew that all these things happened. And with regard to prelims, I would not say that newspaper had helped me. it was not of much help with regard to prelims. It did definitely help with regard to interview and mains to some extent, but for prelims I did not really know how to integrate newspaper to the current affairs that I had learned, and I always ended up reading the wrong news, and another different news came for the exam. So I would not say that I had a direct relation from newspaper for current affairs with respect to prelims. I